Okay, so I got gaslit by my representative in Congress, Representative Lloyd Doggett. He wrote to me in regards to the uh, American attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. Um, and he was saying that he has been fighting against basically American misuse of military activity for years. And he said, I realize our effort to stop this pending war, which is the war against Iran, is controversial. The same was true when I was a leader against the disastrous invasion of Iraq, which eventually extended over 9 years, costing over 4,000 American lives and more than $1 trillion. Yes, that was a disaster. And the same was true when I opposed President Obama's proposed attack on Syria, as I joined Republicans in demanding that he first seek authorization from Congress, after which he eventually chose not to attack. Um, well, that's a total gaslighting of Mr. Doggett's constituents here in Austin, because as you probably know, or you should know, that um, Lloyd Doggett and the efforts of the supposed efforts of Democrats to sort of rein in Obama's bombing efforts was a complete show. They didn't try very hard, and they didn't oppose Obama when he bombed Syria for well over 2 years, just bombing and bombing and bombing, killing thousands of innocent civilians. Um, yeah, that was one of the reasons why I could not vote for Hillary after Obama, because she was part of that effort, and I could not. And the sick thing about it was that nobody, including Lloyd Doggett, could talk about um, who was being bombed in Syria, how many civilians were killed. There was zero accounting for it. There were no photographs taken, no video. It was almost never mentioned by President Obama or anyone else. Um, and eventually, eventually this bombing campaign was handed over to first it was handed over to the Russians. Obama rolled out the red carpet for the Russians to enter the war in Syria, which they happily did. The United States was pretty much giving the Russians, cover, basically allowing the Russians to come in with just billions and billions of dollars in military aid to the very violent, anti-democratic dictatorship of the Syrian government, Bashar al-Assad. The United States did not stand in the way of Russia whatsoever, which trained the Russians to believe that they could basically just invade any nation, and hence later on in the during the Obama administration, they invaded Ukraine for the first time. During the Biden administration, they invaded Ukraine for the second time. We trained the Russians to basically believe that we would let them do whatever they wanted to do. We did it first under George Bush, when we allowed the Russians, with basically no repercussions, to invade Georgia, and actually to seize American military equipment and vehicles without really any punishment. Obama let the Russians shoot down a Malaysian airplane, a civilian airplane, killing everybody. No real repercussions. So we basically created the Ukraine war long before Putin put that long line of tanks into Ukraine, which nobody seemed to advise the Ukrainians to just go ahead and blow up. They were just sitting there for days. All that miles long line of tanks just sitting there just like crippled turkeys or something like that. You just gotta just you could have just blown them all up. So, anyways, this whole the management of Vladimir Putin has been just god awful from the very beginning, and it waiting for Trump to put his foot down. But I don't buy that Trump is buddy buddy with Putin as much as some people might have believed that Obama was buddy buddy and Bush was buddy, but none of them are friends with Putin. They just got to figure out how to deal with him. But back to Syria, basically Barack Obama. They say, and there's very little reporting on this because almost nobody from the West has entered Raqqa after Barack Obama started bombing that city in Syria. But the reports are from Raqqa after the bombing was that the city was literally decimated. 10% of the city is remaining. And then, of course, after that, Trump inherited that war and he sent in the ground troops, meaning the Kurds. And they went ahead and just took Raqqa from ISIS. Yes, ISIS is evil, but that doesn't mean you have to kill all the civilians that ISIS has held hostage and all the civilians that happen to be living around the ISIS military camps, things like this. I mean, those people are innocent. And then all the refugees that the United States created in Syria just created just an unbelievable humanitarian disaster. Just thousands of people, millions perhaps, starving, freezing, homeless, living in tents, getting diseases, suffering through an earthquake that we didn't really help them through. We blocked aid because we didn't want the Syrian government to get the aid. And then, starting with Obama, we were pumping in guns to Al-Qaeda in Syria so that the Al-Qaeda forces maybe could take over the Syrian government, and eventually those forces, those Islamic fundamentalists or Islamic terrorist groups, took over Syria just months ago, and the Uyghur extremists that the United States was supporting both in Syria and China came to power in Syria not long ago, and then they started killing hundreds of people, hundreds of innocent people. So we were supporting terrorists in Syria. We bombed them for 2 years, created a genocidal, this is what it was described as, a genocidal situation in Syria, a situation of genocide. We helped to create genocide in Syria. We rolled out the red carpet for the Russians. And just to bring it back to what's happening with Iran, Trump bombed Iran's military facilities, their nuclear facilities. Apparently, no one was killed in this bombing, but they set back the Iranian nuclear program by some people are saying just 6 months. Some people are saying it's permanently gone for now. Whatever. Iran's been trying to make a bomb since the 1980s, and they'll probably keep on trying. The point is that it was a relatively minor bombing run compared to what Obama did, but to Syria, that is. But here comes Lloyd Doggett trying to act like he's a hero for standing up against this, but not lifting a single finger really against the bombing of Syria, and then saying that he did, that he blocked Obama from bombing Syria. Yeah, for maybe about 5 seconds. Um, yeah, as Obama was reading the list of there's some congressmen that don't like this. Let me wait a couple of days. All right, so similarly, Trump bombed the Syrian airfield like he bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. He bombed Syria's airfield, the dictatorship's airfield, destroying just lots and lots of Russian warplanes. There were, I think, 4 Syrians killed because the Russians, who were told by Trump that he was going to bomb them, but the Russians didn't tell the Syrians that were working on the airfield. So 4 Syrians were killed during that bombing run. But of course, the Democrats came out and said, "Oh, this is god awful war. You're bombing the Russian warplanes that are bombing the Syrians, and you killed 4 people." Another relatively minor bombing run that was criticized hypocritically by the Democrats. I'm not saying the Democrats are bad and the Republicans are good. I'm just saying this is how it works. And we're being gaslit again. I'm being gaslit again by my own congressman. Good luck.